First of all, congratulations on Crypto's album, Decimator. It is fantastic, great sound,
You.
amazing music. I've been listening to your band for a bit, so there's been such an evolution in your music. What has inspired you guys to continue pushing the band forward and adapting your sound, creating this incredible, clean, high quality music?
So, well, thank you so much, man, for the kind words. It's just purely love for the music. There's really nothing else. It's we've been around for like 25 years now, and sometimes even I think are we done? When are we going to be get done with this? But then I keep listening to my favorite albums. The rest of the guys in the band, we keep listening to music. We catch up, have a few beers, listen to our old Maiden and Priest records and things like that. And then you feel alive again. You feel like a kid again, and you're just like, man, we, we need to get this out of our system. And that's when we start writing new music, and it just snowballs from there. There's just there just doesn't seem to be an end to it. Even after we finished Decimator, we were like pretty tired after the entire recording process. We just finished our European tour. We are pretty exhausted. It's been a few weeks now, and I was like, man, this was really brutal the last few weeks and last few months. But again, today I woke up in the morning. I listened to some Sabotage. I listened to some other albums, and I was like, man, we got to get back into the studio again. So
Wow.
it's kind of like a never-ending process, I guess.
Definitely. And for Decimator, what was the inspiration behind that album? Because those songs hit different than your previous albums do. They seem to be very very classic metal sounding.
Yeah, we've ever since our probably our fourth album, Burn Up the Night, we've been going more and more down the very classic metal road. And I think on Decimator, we've kind of reached, a point where all our classic influences have really come together. They've come to a real, you know, razor sharp point. And Decimator is kind of like an amalgamation of all the things we love about 70s and 80s metal. You can hear bits and pieces of 70s Thin Lizzy and Rainbow. You can hear bits and pieces of 80s Maiden Priest, Accept. You can hear bits and pieces of, even bands like Riot and, you know, some of the other Angel Witch and some of the other NWBHM bands. So, it's really just a complete fusion of all the classic stuff that we grew up with. But at the same time, it sounds like us, We've always made sure that we put our own stamp on what we do because we don't want to sound like a tribute act. There are tons of bands out there who sound pretty much like their influences, but because we have all these influences and we come from a completely different country, completely different upbringing, and plus, you have my vocals which are more aggressive on top of all this. It kind of creates a sort of unique blend. It's kind of familiar, but at the same time, it's kind of fresh also. So we were really, very focused on making sure that this album gives people that feeling of nostalgia and gives people that feeling of what it was like when they listened to their favorite bands the very first time. But at the same time, it's not a throwback. It's we're making sure that it's taking classic metal forward, into 2024 and beyond. So we were very conscious about that when we wrote the album, and I guess we pulled it off, if I have to say so.
Yeah, you definitely did. For cryptos, you get like you said, you guys have been around for more than 25 years now. For metal bands, it seems like they come and go. It's a very niche genre to go into. What how is the demand for metal in India? Because around the world it seems like metal it's an acquired taste. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. In fact, I would say it's even more niche in India because I mean, considering we have 1.5 billion people, it's only a small fraction of the population that listens to rock music, never mind metal. And it's an even smaller fraction that listens to metal. So we have a lot of bands in India. There are tons of metal bands. There are a lot of fans, but India is such a huge country, and everyone's scattered all over the place. So even if you have a metal gig, you you don't really get more than 200 or 300 people. And there's only one metal festival in our country, which happens in our city in Bangalore. And even though some pretty huge bands play there, like recently Creator and In Flames and Mortain played, but the crowds don't really cross like 3,000 or 4,000 people for such a big country. It's just that it's too big and it's too spread out, and it's very difficult for everyone to congregate in one place. But at the same time, we also have to deal with a lot of other regional music over here because Bollywood, for example, is huge in India. It pretty much takes up the lion's share of what people listen to in our country. So, and beyond that, there's tons of music in other local languages, which most people listen to, and it's only after all those that you get English music, and English music is further divided into pop and the EDM, all the popular stuff, and then it goes down into rock music and metal and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's super niche here, but it's actually growing, even though it's really tiny. But you never know. And maybe 10 years from now, we'll have a fairly decent sized audience that listens to metal over here.
With all that diversity in India, and especially in the music, what do you think has kept cryptos alive for so long? What has continued to, bring people and have them gravitate towards cryptos music? Because you guys continue to, move forward. You guys continue to create music that is a higher quality in every single album.
Thank you so much. It's again, it's the love and passion for what we do. It's uh, it's just I don't even know how to qualify it. It's in India. It's kind of like what we do in India is we're kind of breaking barriers, you could say, because when we started out, there weren't that many metal bands, and it was so difficult to get an album out or even to get any music from outside. And over the years, we continued to release albums, and we started touring before any other Indian band started touring. We started touring Europe and stuff. And the way I look at it is a lot of bands in India and a lot of people in India kind of look up to us for pushing the envelope. And it's really great when tons of people come up to us and say, you know what, we never really thought we could start a band, or we never really thought we could record albums, or we could tour and things like that. But because you guys are doing it, it's actually possible.
Mhm.
So that's super rewarding for us to hear. It's more rewarding than actually getting an album out or doing or playing live or whatever. It's awesome when your fellow countrymen come up and tell you that we've inspired them to do something other than just get a job 9 to 5 and do the daily grind. Because in India, that's kind of what's expected from you. You're expected to become like a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. Because if you're not doing any of those things, you're wasting your time. That's the way society is over here. And especially if you're into music, you're kind of looked upon not so favorably. So when they see us doing these things, and of course we all have jobs, we all work and stuff, but we do things simultaneously, and we're showing people that it can be done over here. So for some of the young kids that are coming up who want to form bands and stuff, I think bands like us and some of the other bands that are touring from here, I think that's super important, that they actually know that it's possible to do. I think that's one of the biggest things that keeps us going. so that we can continue to show people that it's definitely possible. You can keep a band together for this long. If you love what you do, you can just keep going. There's no end to it.
Definitely. And how important has it been for crypto to tour outside of India and bring their music to other countries? Because like I keep on saying, your music is incredible. I'm a fan, and how important has it been for you guys to come outside of India?
It was super important for us actually because as much as we love playing in India, the kind of music we play, the style of music we play isn't particularly popular in India. It's right now in India, it's actually been this way for the last 15 years, I would say. It's more modern metal, metalcore, deathcore, a lot of the stuff that's pretty modern. That's what the kids are into these days. So the audience for classic metal has actually decreased. It was quite huge in maybe the late 90s and the early 2000s, but since then, it's kind of shrunk.
Mhm,
And for a band like us, we've always felt that our audience was, they were scattered around the world rather than just in our country, and especially in Europe, because we used to get a lot of mail from people writing in from Germany and Sweden, UK, and all these places saying, we guys should definitely come over there. And over the years, when we kept touring Europe, we realized how much people were actually into our music,
mhm,
because you have no idea when you're sitting in India. You can see a few numbers on the internet, but you don't really see what it's actually like. Because once we get there on tour, we can actually see people coming out to our shows. We hear people telling us how much they've been following us, since 10 years, 12 years or so. And it's amazing. And every tour that we do, the crowds are increasing, the sales are increasing. Our label is super happy with us because we're getting a lot of traction with what we do. That's why they've offered us a new contract as well, which is amazing. And the European audiences get what we do. We like, especially when we went to Sweden for the first time last year. We didn't know what to expect, but all the gigs were sold out pretty much, and people were really getting into our music. And then later on, we find out that they've been listening to us for like a long time, and we never expected something like that. It was the same when we went to Finland, we went to Norway, when we even went to places like Malta and Poland. And it's amazing to see all these people who you'd never expect to see at a gig in all these countries. You go to all these places and you're like, who even knows us over here? And then all of a sudden you see the gigs like almost sold out. It's like 150, 200 people showing up. It's like, wow, it's amazing.
yeah. One of the things that I've always hear from metal bands is the fact that it feels like you're in your own private club when you're part of the metal scene because the people who know really know you. Um, how surprising is it to be on stage and hear fans sing with you or know every single lyric of your songs?
That, that's absolutely amazing. On a recent European tour, we played Denmark for the first time. We didn't know what to expect. We played a small festival in Denmark. When we got on stage, the place was absolutely packed. We couldn't believe it. And there were people in the audience who were like singing along. They knew our songs like from top to bottom. Some of them had come with all their stuff to get signed, and some of them even there's this one guy who brought his kids, and he's like, "My kids have been listening to you guys for like 7 or 8 years." And we play our music in the car all the time. I'm like, man, that's insane. And you know, you you see stuff like this, and you're just completely humbled. And there was a there was a woman who traveled. I remember when we played in the Czech Republic on a recent tour. There was a woman that she traveled all the way from France to watch us because we didn't have any France dates. And she drove all the way just to watch us in this tiny club. And I was like, man, that's amazing. So uh, I don't think there's any greater reward for a band than for people to actually put in that much time and effort to come and watch you, and that really pumps us up every time we get on tour.
Definitely. And even though you're just bringing out this Decimator album, you seem very passionate. Like you said, you're energized to get back into the studio. You know, how how does the band go about creating their albums, and how long do you think you'll take before we get another album from Kryptos?
I hope it's not too long. We usually, I think, I think previously we used to take like 4 years between albums, but then we cut it down to 2 or 3 years. So I think probably in the next 2 years we might get another album. But usually, it's our lead guitarist Rohit and me who write all the music. On Decimator, Rohit wrote pretty much all the music. I wrote all the lyrics, and both of us, put the songs together, put all the riffs and the melodies together and stuff. We've been a songwriting team for quite a long time, and that's just the way it works. It works best with us. Um, there's that whole saying that too many cooks spoil the broth. So in our case, it just seems to work when just the two of us write the music, and the rest of the band are also cool with it. So
Mhm.
there's no issues or hangups, and I think because we are kind of the oldest guys in the band, and we've been into this style of music for so long, we kind of know exactly what direction it should go towards, and how things should be put together. So it's working well for us so far.
And how are you enjoying this relationship with AFM Records? Because they seem to really put out high quality music from metal bands that we keep on getting constantly. So how has that relationship been for you guys?
They've been amazing with us. We signed with them back in 2012, and now it's already been 12 years with them. Our contract with them actually ran out recently, but they were happy with us. We were happy with them. They offered us another 3 album contract, and it was a no brainer. We're like, yeah, obviously they're on. So, and we just every time we go on tour, we go to the offices and meet them. They're super chill guys, and it's a very friendly, casual relationship. They have, even though the AFM roster doesn't really have too many classic bands, it's a mix of a lot of different types of music. They've never once told us, they never interfered with our sound. They never told us you need to sound this way or you need to be this way to sell more records or get more media attention or things like that. They've never been that way. They've always been very supportive. They've always said, do what makes you guys happy. If you guys are happy, we're happy. We'll make it work. And I think that's all you can ask from your label, because I know there are some bands out there who unfortunately have to do what the label tells them to do, and it kills your creativity a bit because you're stuck between trying to sell albums and trying to actually do what you like. But luckily, we aren't at that stage, so it's always been great with AFM.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on Crypto's Decimator album. It is incredible. It's gonna be on my list to listen to on repeat for the foreseeable future. I hope you guys get a tour in the US so I can go out and see you guys live. Thank you very much, Ray.
Thank you so much, man. Yeah, I hope we come to the US one day. I mean, it's a dream of ours, but it's a bit expensive, as you can imagine.